I remember having a debate with colleagues for Skills for Health about the word assessment. We had 45 minutes of what do we mean by assessment, because we were using the term in relation to writing standards, and we on our side of the table assumed that meant the same thing, but assessment in a health setting means something entirely different to what it means in a social work setting or a social services setting. So we've got to be careful of the assumptions. So orientation to service is really, really important. But the guidance is also designed to be very, very practical, because there's all kinds of wee things that when you come new to an organisation that you take for granted, that when you're brand new, you encounter them every step of the first day, or the first week, or the first month, however long you're there. So you do need to get familiarised with the workplace. You need to get to know who your colleagues are. There are the kind of general housekeeping things about where do I get stuff. You know, just pick an item that's used widely in your workplace. Where do you find it? How do you get it? How do you book leave? Where's the form for putting in time off in lieu? Who do you speak to about getting the equipment I need to do my job? There's also things there though about confidentiality. Are there specific arrangements in place in the organisation? Along with the kind of general broad principles, what's the organisation say about somebody phoning your workplace and asking for information about a service user? What's the protocol? What do you do? If you're a lone worker, what are the arrangements? If you go back, if you look up at the organisation bit about health and safety, and there's personal safety, I put the introduction bit there. If you're a lone worker, what's the issues for you about making sure that you're safe? Is there a check-in time, or is there a person that you check in with if you're working on your own? How often do you do it? When do you do it? All these kind of wee details need to be addressed at the point of induction. And then we also looked, there's a brief section on roles and responsibilities in the induction process, because what we wanted to be clear was that induction, there are a number of key people involved. Senior management are involved in some of this, because I'm sure we've all been at the induction event where you see the director of the organisation. It's probably the one and only time you see the director and come along and say, welcome to the organisation, it's a wonderful place to work, and I'm sure we'll see a lot of you, and then you never see them again. So they're involved, HR are involved, your line manager should be involved, and colleagues need to be involved. Because you put a new member of staff in, they're there in a context, and they're in a context of a network of people. So it's not just up to the line manager and the new member of staff to deal with induction. What we're trying to say is that everybody in the organisation has a role somewhere in the induction process. So that's broadly speaking the content. When the guidance was being written, the development group was very keen that the guidance was not something that was going to appear in a glossy booklet and then arrive on folks' desks and then make the quick journey for the desk to the dusty shelf. They didn't want it to be something that was static, that was kind of frozen in time, and then people went, yeah, that's really interesting, file that under pending. And then it's never looked at again. They wanted it to be a dynamic document. They wanted it to be something that evolved over time. They wanted it to be something that belonged to the sector, that the sector could amend and change and add to if they wanted to. They also wanted it to offer some practical tools. So it is very general guidance. It doesn't pretend to be the answer to everything. It's not everything you want to know about induction but we're afraid to ask. It's very much a starting point. And the development group was very aware that some organisations have very sophisticated induction systems already in place. Other organisations, induction, it reminds me when I started as social, you come in and say, see that drawer there? That's yours. And all your work's in there. We'll see you in a fortnight. So we've got both ends of the scale in our sector. You still have both ends of the scale. So the guidance is there really genuinely to offer assistance to people. It's a starting point, it's not the end point. But they also wanted to put in something that was practical, a tool that employers could use. And so we put in, you'll find in the material an Excel spreadsheet that's an induction planning and tracking checklist that just takes all these 6 areas and breaks them down to the nth degree, where you can actually look at when you're going to do this, was it done, any follow-up action, all kind of dated and whatever. So if you've got Excel in your workplace, you can use the spreadsheet. It's no rocket science. And the key thing about it is you can edit it and change it to suit your specific workplace. So again, the tool is not intended to be, this is the only thing you can use to track or plan your induction, and you have to use it as it stands. Change it. Make sure that it suits all the kind of activities that you want a new member of staff to go through. So it's there, it's available from the council, which I suppose kind of leads me back to this bottom point rather than, I'll come back to this. Because they wanted a dynamic document, and because they wanted a document that could grow and change, we kind of toyed with the idea, should it be in a round binder? But look at what happens to them. When you send out the new pages and folk go, I must put them in that induction binder. And then so you stick them at the back, and then weeks go by and some more pages come out and you stick them in the back, and then somebody takes the folder out the shelf and all the pages fall out. And the thing is, you never update the document. I'm like that. I'm really guilty of that. And I think, I must get round to doing that, and I never ever do. So we kind of abandoned that idea. So we've published the guidance online. It's on the SSSC website, and I'll give you the address at the end. And we published it on disk. So if you don't have online access, it's available on disk. Has anybody seen the disks? Yeah. 1 or 2? It's kind of, I don't have one with me actually, but it's kind of that shape. Right? And people, I've heard folk phone saying, it's the wrong shape for my CD drive, it won't fit. But if you turn it over for the label side, you'll see there's wee grooves in the back, and they slot into the tray. So that's why it's that shape, so you can do that. And it's so that, we're actually one of these amazing discs that shape, you put them on a desk and folk go, I'll have one of them. It's got a real kind of grab value to it. But they do work, honestly, in any disk drive, as long as your disk drive's not like that. So we published it on disk for folk who don't have online access, and we've done that at the beginning just to kind of launch the material. After the launch phase, it's going to reside online. And we put it online because of this bit, because of the desire for it to be a dynamic document, and because we wanted to use it as a place where we could gather together examples of good practice and other resources that folk in the sector had developed or had found. Because it's amazing, you talk to folk at events like this, and there'll be half a dozen or more folk who say, I found something that's much better than their stuff, and it's here. But unless you actually ask the question, you never find out, because despite the fact that we're supposed to be a sector that's all about communication, we're notoriously bad at talking to each other and sharing examples of what we're doing. Unless we're kind of brought into an environment like this and encouraged to do it.